So we move on to our main event of the evening, which is so eagerly anticipated by all three of us. We're going to the welterweight division, and it is Kamaru Usman who is taking on Colby Covington. You can get Usman at a minus 185 favourite. Covington is plus 150. As we've sort of touched on before, should this really be the headliner from a sporting perspective? I know there's a lot of business reasons as to why this has been given the headliner, but because I speak to a lot of fans about this card and nobody's talking about this as an exciting fight. Intriguing maybe, but they're not expecting a slugfest.
Well, for me, if you take the business aspect out of it, is this the best fight on the card? Yes or no? The answer to me is no.
No.
So it shouldn't be top of the card. And from a fighter's fan's perspective, that's how I sit on it.
Yeah. I agree with it. I do think I would prefer the Max Holloway fight to be the top fight, but I think they're just going to be going for what sells. It's that simple. And Colby's not quiet. He's not keeping his face out of the limelight. Do you know what I mean? So
my question is, will it sell though? Because Usman isn't really the most engaging personality, and he hasn't got a fighting style which appeals to casuals. And yeah, Colby's giving it all the beef, all the trash talk, but he also got the lowest rated ESPN show of all time. So
I think maybe that's why if you look at the card, we've already talked about how padded the prelims are. That's what they're hoping to market it on, I think.
They're compensating for the weaker headliner by stat.
And I think the 3 title fights is what's possibly selling it. I don't think people are going to be like, oh, there's this title fight, and there's this. They'll say, oh, there's 3 title fights, and that'll be enough just to kind of sell it. There's 3 belts on the line. It's one that you don't really want to see anyone win, I think.
No.
What does make this intriguing for me though is they're both very similar in terms of how they fight. They both got identical records, they're the same age, and interestingly, if you look at the people who've beaten both, Colby holds a victory over the person who beat Usman, and Usman holds a victory over the person who beat Colby.
Right.
So there's that sort of intrigue to it as well. So
I'll be honest, I don't enjoy watching Colby Covington fight.
No.
I can see the draw, but I just... He's one of those people that you sometimes say, oh, they've got a good personality, but they're a rubbish fighter, or vice versa. Yeah. I just don't like anything about Colby. However much I don't care about the result, I'd like to see Usman put a beat on him.
So I think we speak from the vast majority of MMA fans who say that as well. Yeah.
We'll start by talking about Usman. Now, he comes into this fight off a dominant performance against Tyron Woodley. I mean, Woodley was putting a lot of people away. He was putting a lot of people to sleep at times as well. But UFC 235 comes along. Everyone's expecting Woodley to catch him with that big knockout shot. And Usman just puts in a dominant performance. Not the most exciting fight, but very impressive to watch. In terms of he completely shut down a dominant champion.
And I think a lot of the time you need to find a way to win, and that's what he did.
Yes.
You can't just go into a fight and wanting to fight the same way you always have. Sometimes you've got to adapt your game, and I think for Usman to go in and win like that, it was very impressive.
And Tyron Woodley was a lot better than people give him credit for. I don't think he got a lot of bad press, but I think he was really, really impressive welterweight champion. So I think that was absolutely right. He wasn't the most. At the end of the day, doesn't matter how you win, as long as you win. If you're Usman. My
mate was actually watching 235 with me, and he fell asleep during that fight.
Really? Wow. See, I can understand why people didn't think it was an exciting fight, but for me, I think the excitement was watching Woodley get dominated. That was the bit where it was.
You couldn't
so
believe that someone like Woodley was getting dominated.
Exactly, and it was always the point as well. It was like, right, when's it going to turn? When's it going to turn? And it didn't. So I think that was the excitement for that fight. I think for me.
I've heard a lot of people describe Usman as the new John Fitch. Do you think that's fair?
I would say no, because
I can see similarities.
I can.
Yeah, but I don't think it's no.
John Fitch is just in the league and he's all like good. Yeah.
He's more powerful. He's definitely more powerful. I think he's got more ways to win. I think if he really, really poured it on Tyron in that fight, he could have finished that fight.
Yeah. I mean, there was a time, I think, in the 4th round where Usman was properly rocking Woodley. But I think rather than trying to chase the knockout punch, he just stuck to the wrestling, stuck to the game plan, and continued as it was. But I mean, he was he was hitting him with some good shots.
He's got power in his hands. He's got more ways to win, hasn't he? I think Fitch was literally a lay and pray kind of fighter, so to speak.
I think that's how you win that fight as well. I think if he'd gone for that knockout punch, get a counter or anything could happen there, could get taken down. I think you need to stick with the game plan sometimes.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, like the AJ Ruiz fight yesterday.
Yeah.
There was points where AJ kind of went in and you thought, and I was like, don't do it.
And he just backed off, realised stick to the game plan.
And sometimes that's what you, like I say, you've got to adapt your style for the fight.
So you're suggesting that Usman just stays on the outside and just jabs Colby too?
If that's what gets him the win, no, I want to see him punish this guy.
What is going to get Usman the win?
Do you know what I think it's going to be that gets him the win? Hatred. I think they're too similar to kind of say, oh, one might get this or one might have the advantage here or there. I think these two are going in to hurt each other. And I think the way Usman is, I think that can drive him on quite a lot, having that kind of that fire inside him to kind of put on a display.
I also think he's got more power in his punches.
Yes.
Obviously, Colby's got no power as he's a volume striker. So I think if Usman, like I said, if he lands a shot, he's more likely to get something from that shot than Colby is.
And we'll talk about Colby Covington. I know it's a part that everybody's looking forward to.
Can we just end it here?
As mentioned before, 15-1 record, same as Usman. His last fight he came off by dominating Robbie Lawler, and you could maybe argue Lawler's maybe not the fighter that he once was.
Yeah.
But again, another dominant performance in the lowest rated headliner in ESPN history.
Wow.
I think when it comes to Colby Covington, we need to talk about the gimmick. I mean, this was a guy who, when he fought Don Sean Kim, I think he was like top 10 in the world. He was always seen as an okay fighter, but he wasn't an engaging personality. He wasn't all that entertaining a fighter. And then when it comes to the Damian Maia fight, out comes the MAGA hat, out comes this big bolshy character, and now he's one of the most talked about fighters in the sport.
Yeah, and he's the most talked about fighter in the sport, yet, like you say, the worst ESPN draw. So I think you can get the fighters that you can see, like you say, it's a gimmick. You know it's not real. You know that's not how he is. And that's the difference between someone like him and someone like McGregor who sold it and was that character. I don't think the gimmick works for Colby.
I think you've touched on the real point there. I don't think it's the gimmick which people dislike. It's the fact that Colby is playing the gimmick so badly.
Yeah.
I mean, Chael played the bad guy, but Chael was funny with it. Chael was charismatic. And Chael also knew where the line was, and I think Colby crosses it a bit too many times.
Yeah.
I think that's what he's going for as well. If I shock people enough, they'll have to tune in. They'll have to see what I'm talking about.
But it's
even when he
false.
speaks, it sounds like he's
like
rehearsed it. And
he's got in his head what he's going to say.
Yeah.
I think it's what we were saying before about Amanda Nunes, like not being the most engaging of personalities. Maybe I think the rise of Conor in the division has opened people's eyes to, if you do have that gimmick and you do have it talking up, suddenly you go from fighting number 10 ranks, number 2, and etc. And it's just trying to sell the fight, isn't it? But sometimes it can go too far and
it puts people off. And I think as well it's a high risk strategy for Colby. I mean, people are talking about you now when you're winning and you're building yourself up towards a title fight. If you lose, all that negativity comes back to haunt you. I struggle to think, can Colby handle that if he was to lose and everyone's giving him loads of grief?
Well, did you hear the thing about Colby saying he was in the smack Dana White with the belt?
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people were saying because of that, because Dana White's reaction wasn't the best, that Colby might get cut. Now, he's not bringing in any sort of ratings. He's talking crap, basically. And he's going out, I mean, I've seen videos of him hunting Dana White in casinos and stuff to talk to him. Is that enough to cut him? Is that something that is realistic to cut him from the division if he loses this fight?
I potentially think so.
Yeah.
Because I think we got a very good fighter, but we haven't got an engaging fighter, we haven't got an entertaining... Most people dislike Colby.
I also think the division that he's in as well.
Yeah. When you've got the Masvidals waiting in the ring.
It wouldn't exactly be a poorer division if he was cut from it. It's not like he's a bantamweight.
And we've seen higher ranked fighters get cut from the UFC as well. I mean, like Liz Carmouche just got cut a couple of days ago.
Wow. Well, and I think with that as well is, say he loses and he doesn't get cut, he's still going to be in and thereabouts that top region. So he's got to then be put forward for more fights. That's possibly more fights that are just bringing in lower rankings.
I'd like to see him fight Darren Till if he loses. I think that's a good shot.
Till won't go back down the welterweight.
No. If he does. Oh, he's just come up. Has he come up?
Yeah.
Sorry, I beg your pardon, he's come up. Yeah, I'm getting confused.
If we had to talk about some positive aspects of Colby, he does have amazing cardio. He does not stop throughout the fighting. We saw that with Lawler, where Lawler was just waiting, holding his time, thinking he's going to tie soon, he's going to give me an opening. And Colby just kept peppering him with shots, bang, bang, bang. It's like 500 shots. Maybe none of them were really hurting him, but he just did not stop.
Scoring.
That's what you want. If you're getting them hits and you're slowly wearing someone down, and you can keep doing it as well.
Yeah.
Make him fight at your pace for 5 rounds. I think that's how he's going to win. Personally, if he's got a shot to title to winning this one, it's going to be volume strikes. It's going to be taking rounds. Probably not the prettiest ever. Probably taking him dirtily off Usman. Take 30 rounds off him and just wear him down. That's how I think he's going to win.
Yeah.
This is basically going to be decided on who can set up their wrestling better. And we've got Usman, who sets up his wrestling with big power shots and pressing against the fence, and Colby, who does it, which is peppering these little shots and just wearing them down and then eventually getting the clinch. It's going to be very interesting to see what style comes to the fore.
It could be the kind of fight where you get two styles and they just don't work, and it's just an absolute terrible fight to watch because they're so similar. They kind of cancel each other out.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could see, I don't think this is going to happen, but you could see them negate the wrestling in favour of stand-up.
I was just about to say that could happen. I mean, we saw that with Damian Maia and Ben Askren. They were so wary about what the other could do on the ground. They decided to have a kickboxing match.
Yeah.
But kickboxing match in inverted commas.
Is that a better fight?
Sometimes it can be. I mean, Djokovic versus Weidman.
Scrapping each other?
Djokovic versus Weidman was a brawl.
I think people want to see these two smack the hell out of each other. That's what they want to see.
And we made a big deal as well about what can happen from a business perspective in terms of positive results. Could this make Usman, if he was to beat Colby? I mean, he could get a lot of fair weather fans on his side if he was to beat the most hated man in the sport right now.
He could, but I don't know if I just don't know if Colby's got enough. How much people like him, I don't know if he's got enough to kind of make people follow Usman more. I don't know if, how much that I'm not really explaining myself.
I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
Colby gets reactions out of people, but he doesn't get haters.
Yes, Usman can win. He could win convincingly. He could embarrass him or whatever. But I don't know if that will boost Usman too much more. I wouldn't say it would. But then what happens if Colby wins?
No, that's the more interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the more interesting.
If Colby wins, you can't cut him. And then he's champ.
If Colby wins, who does he fight next? Because Masvidal seems to be chasing the money fights now. So really, you're looking at Leon Edwards.
But he definitely does. Leon deserves it.
Leon's been fantastic.
Definitely does. But then does Masvidal
kick off?
Does Masvidal say he gets the Leon Edwards fight? Eventually, you're going to have to fight Colby, and Masvidal will be the person that brings in the crowd.
I mean, Masvidal makes more sense from a business perspective.
Yeah.
But you have to remember, Masvidal's 35 now. He's riding this real crest of a financial wave. I think if Masvidal had the choice between Colby or, say, Conor / Nick Diaz, he's going to take the latter.
Of course he is. That's the more interesting fight for him, isn't it?
And he wants the money fight as well, doesn't he?
And that's the one that fights. If you put casual MMA fans, if you put 10 in a row, 7 or 8 of them are going to pick Conor out there.
Who are we picking for the main event? You can't say no contest.
It can happen. I'm gonna go with Usman because of the Woodley performance and because I hate Colby. But I will say Colby's got enough to win. I think he does have enough to win. I just don't want to see it happen.
Well, I'm going to I'm going to try and do the flip side. I want Usman to win, but I think Colby by decision. I can't see Colby stopping Usman at all. But I think I'm going to go with Colby. I'll be different. I'm going to go with Colby's decision.
I'm going to go Colby as well.
Stop willing it into existence.
I think cardio is going to play a big part, and I think the Colby's peppering style and just how he just does not stop is eventually just going to wear Usman down.